Introduce Cindi, but I first want to say we are aware that Cindi Fountain's mother's side is Lenape people, the Lenape. Um, and the land that our UUCRT congregation is on was populated by the Munsee Lenape Ramapo. We extend our gratitude to these people and acknowledge their love, their labor, and the stewardship of the land that we now occupy. Cindi is a Native American shaman. She was raised in a household where for many years her Penobscot medicine man grandfather was present. He trained her in the ways of being a shaman, and she's also a wife, a mother, a sister, a friend, an aunt, many things to many people. So we are absolutely delighted to have you back with us, Cindi, and take it from here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great, great. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you for introducing me to the group. Just a couple things I'll say quickly. My grandfather that raised me here was not the Penobscot. He was the Lenape Ramapo. And I was raised here in these mountains in Rockland County. So that's where I am. My biological father is off of the Penobscot Reservation in Old Town, Maine. His people also were medicine people. So that is the way the connection goes. I have a lot of titles, lots of them. The one that I really like the best, and I'm looking forward to a dear friend of mine experiencing this, and that's grandmother. Can you hear me? Yeah, and it's soon going to be you, a grandmother, and you wait till you do it. You won't believe it. The next title that I have that I hold in the highest esteem is I'm a great grandmother of 8. So that's got all the other titles beat by a long shot. So I just wanted to say that. But I'm here to talk to you as I've been asked to share many of the same mind thoughts, suggestions of living, and in our traditional, our ways of living is respecting everything. The human is regarded from my early, before my time even, uh, when we recognized people that were from out of our areas, the two-legged, in giving respect to all two-leggeds, no matter what color they are, what style of thinking they are. So I think that's one of the things that we have somewhat in common with your belief in my way of life. The one that I really practice the most in many of the things that I've learned over these 70 years. This is my birthday month, so I'll be 70 this year. Are you able to hear me all right? Okay, good. Um, and that's, I'm going to talk a little bit about the baskets. I just, I have one here just to hold up and remind you. I have a large collection. I have 3 feet by 3 feet baskets. So I'm always working on this very project of all of us weaving our lives together as this is woven. It's different pieces, which we as the two-legged are. We're the different pieces. And as we bring our lives together, we'll be able to make something that is useful, and it will be useful to the world, because there's nobody living anymore in their own little neighborhood. Those are days have gone past, way gone. Even in hearing the moments today when people shared their stories, because we all have a story, um, that loved ones are all over the world, in Europe, uh, all the continents, you know. So that's why we have to make these baskets that are useful in the world's work. Well, I've been traditional shaman ways, as Marcia just said, from my birth. I was born actually in Jersey City, the last child of a family of a mother and a father that had 13 kids. I'm the last, I'm the baby. Can't you tell I'm the baby? But the fact of it is that our tradition of love and caring and support and respect and family are so strong that when my mother's baby brother's wife could not have children, I was given to them so that they could have the experience of raising a baby. Now, the home that they lived in was with my maternal grandfather, Ed Peterson, um, a known medicine man up in the Ramapo Mountains. Um, and I was raised in that household. Now, my brothers and sisters came every weekend, every season, every holiday, every chance they could get from Jersey City to be with me. So it was nothing that you were torn apart from your family. You were all still together. So, learning their ways, learning my father coming on the regular basis that the rest of the family came as well. We were one knitted together, or what I'd like to say, woven together group of people. And those are the things that bring me to, I believe, speaking here now, and the importance of all of us learning from one another. There's nobody out here that knows it all. In my 70 years, I haven't, and I've talked to a lot of people way older than me, and I've yet to hear anybody say, oh, there was one person that knew it all. So I'm confident that we're purposed to learn from one another, and we're purposed to teach one another. And those are the things that make our basket even stronger. The confidence that I carry is really not my own. It's the gift that was given to me by these traditional people, my ancestors. Um, the laughter that I get from everything, that's why one of the songs that I chose was Earth, Wind, and Fire, Keep Your Head to the Sky. Because that's what I do. There's been many, many challenges in my life. I could never even try to describe them all to everyone. Um, but the Creator has given me the gift to remind myself that there's greater things. And what is any greater than the sky? It's above and around everybody. And it don't care if you're rich, poor, what color you are, or who you think you are. It's still the sky. So I thank you for listening to the song and the privilege of having the words written up there. I know them by heart now. But the other day, one of my great grandchildren is in LA visiting, and when they got off the plane, the Earth, Wind, and Fire was playing. So she was dancing at the airport. So I'm pretty happy about knowing that my traditions are going to be passed on to the rest of the folks in my clan. But the things that and by no means am I going to get political or any of that stuff, because I just want us to be one-on-one people to one another, because all that other stuff is for somebody else. But growing up and seeing herbs to heal you, to see an herb that can stitch you when you need stitches. I'll give you a quick example. I had an injury about 2 months ago that I needed stitches. But once again, I took the route of let me use my own words and medicine to heal me. So it had been something that I had seen when a young man in our community, 50 years ago, had a really big cut. It came from about his knee right down to his ankle. And my grandfather used these products, all handmade and naturally made, and he restored it. And that's what I see sometimes in people. We need to be restored. Now I'm going to just show you. I don't know. Can you see my finger? I don't know. Can you see it? Can you see the cut on my finger where it looks like there's a stitch? You can see. You can't see it? No. Okay. Well, then anyhow, it had about 1.5 inches cut. And I ended up not going to the doctors at that time. I went to my medicine closet, and I found the bear grease that I had, and I knew bear grease and a certain leaf would heal it. So I wrapped it in that. And immediately, just as I had thought and knew, the bear grease brought it together and it healed. Now it looks like somebody painted a line on my finger, but it doesn't have the stitch marks, and it healed completely. And I say that because many of the natural ways and the ways that are inner, the deepness of our inner sides, the stories that maybe your grandmother told you, oh, she used to do, because some of you folks look like you might be my age or a little younger, but still in the ballpark. Those stories are what really tie us and hold us together. So that's what I'm going to try to share with you and kind of maybe jolt your mind, because I want to hear your stories too. I hope we get a chance to interact and you tell me things or something I might have jolted and thought in your mind that, you know, your grandmother told you, your grandfather, or your old auntie, or the lady down the street that everybody used to think was crazy, but she sure wasn't. Because if anybody needed anything, she was the lady they went to. So those are the confidence that I'm going to share as a traditional native. And that's what we do, is go to those old people. From a little bitty girl, my biological father did make his journey in 1955. So I was 4 years old. And in that time, he had stomach cancer. And he was living at the house with my brothers and sisters and all of them. And, you know, when he was well enough, he'd come up to the mountains, or we went to him. Actually, at that time, the most of the mountain people went down to him. And in going there, his time came. And at that point, his request had been that all of his children would be in one house and that day. And so I was there. Well, when his time came and I was sleeping, I was awakened by what I appeared to be my father. And he took me out of the bed and we went and we sat near a chair overlooking the Statue of Liberty, because we're from Jersey City. We could look out and see the Statue of Liberty. And in seeing the Statue of Liberty, the light all night, my father just held me. He never said a word to me, but he just held me in this chair. I have a chair similar to it in my home now. But the fact of it was that as he did, it seemed like a movie screen was in front of me. And it was playing a lot of what I thought then were, wow, that's interesting. And, ooh, wow. And I was just laying there in his arms, and it was just wonderful. And as the time came where I could see that the dawn was approaching, which is another significant time in every day of my life. But the fact as it did, my father picked me up as I had known him and put me back in the bed and covered me up and went on. And it was at that moment that I realized all that he had shown me. He was no longer in the flesh with us. Because when I woke up, I mentioned something and they said, oh, Daddy has journeyed on. And that's when I got the first taste of my awareness and understanding of the worlds. And there are multiple worlds. We're talking to a handful of people now. Well, all of you have got worlds. All your friends have got worlds. All of my friends have got worlds. And then we have the worlds where they step over into the next atmosphere, or we journey on. Whatever you like to call it, it's your privilege. It's what makes it work for you. I'm just sharing mine and hoping that it's a piece of the weave that will weave our lives together once again to be helpful to the world. Okay. Oh, my husband's giving me 5 minutes. So those are just some of the things, but it has given me the confidence. It has taken me around not the full world, but it certainly allowed me to expose myself to the world because I've worked for people from all over the world. I've sent my grandchildren all over the world. I'm expecting to travel further out into the world in these next few years or whatever time I have left. But those are things, but I just want to encourage all of you to continue on your paths, continue in the weave that we're all weaving it together. You know, we have a purpose. Be courageous because it's going to be tough, but keep walking, keep enjoying. But the main thing is keep your head to the sky. I hope. Thank you, thank you, thank you for taking time to listen to me. Oh, I see you waving now. I see the waving. Yeah.
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 That's
Okay,
an
good.
affirmation, Cindy. That's affirmation. We wiggle our hands a lot at the UU.
Okay, good, good. I did too. That's an old traditional thing we do.
Is
Yeah.
it? Oh,
Yes.
we didn't know. Maybe that's because we're on your land.
Yeah, yes,
Run up into our
yeah.
hands.
That's exactly what we do. Just go like this. Just to shake like that. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
listen, I am sure that people want to make comments, ask questions, whatever. And so go ahead and unmute yourself and then remute and try to take some sort of turns. And if you put a hand up on your box or something, I'll, if I need to call on anybody, I will. But otherwise, I'd say, let's just see how it goes with you, speaking up for yourself as members of the community, okay? Nancy, go ahead.
Yes, Cindy, I would like to ask you, what kind of a leaf did you wrap your injured finger in? Was it a plantain leaf or what? That I could probably find. I couldn't get bear grease, but I probably could find the leaf.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you could find the leaf. Now to give you a name, it's a name that I personally don't use for it, but it's white man's foot, but I don't use that name for it at all. It's found just about everywhere, and it's been, to my knowledge, it was here before the European ever came. So I just don't use that term for it. But if you can contact me another time, I'll send you a picture of it because it grows everywhere. It grows in my driveway. It grows just about everywhere. But it's a beautiful, and it has a million other issues that it takes care of.
Was it plantain?
No,
No.
no, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, well, when you're talking about traveling to other worlds, in my work, working as a social worker for hospice, since I've been doing this for about 4 years, I've always been like fascinated, I guess, in a way that, when people are approaching death, that I'd say probably most people, that I've been working with, that they always see people that have died before them. And, like sometimes you see it in their bodies too. Like I went to see someone the other day who's kind of transitioning into the dying process. And, a lot of times their eyes are wide open, they're really looking around, they're seeing people. Sometimes they start talking about people, who have died. This woman started talking about her uncle, who died many, many years ago. But I always think, is there something to this? Is it neurological? Is it that, people that are loved ones that have died before us, do they come back and get us? I had a story where this woman that I've known, and her husband was on hospice. He had Alzheimer's. And then she was on hospice with heart disease. He ended up dying before her, like a month before. And her daughter told me that, and she was bedbound, not so much awake and alert, she could respond appropriately at different times. But all of a sudden, after having not gotten out of bed, she was lying down, and her daughter said, and now her husband had died like a month ago, put her hands up in the air, sat up on her own strength, and was sort of talking. And then she went back down and said, "Oh, it's not time yet." And everyone was like, her daughters, were like, what was that? And she did it twice. So it's interesting. Of course, different speculations that she wanted all her children there and that was keeping them from getting in an accident or something. But it was, I don't know. When you talk about other worlds and journeys and the whole dying process, when you see it or see other people experiencing at times, it always makes me wonder because it's the majority of people. Donna,
Very, go ahead. Did you want, can I just answer that lady's conversation first? Or,
Sure,
Okay.
Cindy. Sure.
okay. Well, those are the very things that when you heard me say that at 4 years old, it was at 4 years old that I realized that I was a hospice person. From that moment on, all of that was as clear to me as I'm looking at your faces on this program now. Have I been the hospice person? For everybody, people that I don't know, ride past an accident and jump out the car and realize the person's preparing for their journey and have to say what the energy, the creator, the Christ, the whomever you want to use it, say what they're tapping in my head to say to whomever. Have I had the privilege, and I say privilege, with countless relatives, but to share and walk my biological grandchildren, 3 of which that had a terminal illness, over to the other side. Does fear frighten me? No. It looks like a birthday party we're all gonna have. So there's nothing to be afraid of in my viewpoint, my teaching, what I've learned. There's no more, oh, you look so young. No, I look so old because old is telling me that I've got my degrees and I can move on. So the comfortableness of being where you're at, and I didn't get your name, sweetheart, that said, I can't see the name anyhow, but have I done the hospice work? Yeah. And the stories are so in depth. Feel free to call me and I'll share with you walking up on somebody in the family that was going to have a hospice person, and the hospice person fell apart. And I just walked in the room and I had to be the hospice lady that day. But see, once you're trained or you're given that gift or you're pushed to that walk in life, it's just like you got up and got your teeth brushed and your face is washed this morning. That's how my mental space is for that. So yeah, I share that. I've shared it for New York State mental health. I've shared it for countless other people and with people. So I won't go any further, but feel welcome to ever like talk to me if you have a deeper question and a wondering. But yeah, there is another side. They do know folks over there. They know their cats and dogs. They know their first boyfriend, because when my mother journeyed, she was waiting and she went, what's Stanley doing here? None of you told me Stanley was there. And that was her first boyfriend that had died about 3 months prior to mommy. We didn't tell her because mommy was 90 then. I didn't think she was going to date him anymore. Okay.
Marcia, I just wanted to say that to Donna, and at the other end of the spectrum, as you say, Cindy, when you were 4 years old, the stories are legion of children. And the word that comes to my mind is who remember where they were and where they came from. Because if it is a continuum that we all are a part of, we come from it and then we return to it. And so this, I love the stories, and I have seen children who clearly had a remembrance of what it was like to be able to connect in a most profound way with others. And then gradually they grow out of it in many cases, and unlike you who have retained that skill. But we prepare so much for the birth of a child. When someone is pregnant, like your daughter, Marcia, we do all of this preparation. And it seems that it would be very comforting to have the same sort of preparation at the end of life, if we could celebrate. And celebrating the life is a beautiful thing. That's pretty discombobulated speaking, but I'm with you with the basket and the weaving and the keeping us together. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to ask or offer?
Let me just 1 second, if I can share this. You know, there's an old native saying, when you wake up in that early morning hour, which I mentioned, you know, the dawn, when I wake up at that dawn, I say, looks like a good day to die. And I've been saying that a long time, because every day you walk in the confidence, in the full awareness that you step over. There's so many people that, oh, I'm not gonna, oh, don't be afraid. It's a privilege you're all gonna get. You're not even gonna be, oh, I'm not rich enough to go there. I'm not poor enough to go there. I'm not this color to go there. I can't, you're going, period. But as you know, but as to my friend, as she was sharing, you're so right on target. And a lot of times, and that's what I try to do, is when I notice somebody that has that gift, or it has been challenged or beat down or twisted in a way that they feel no longer privileged to have what they have, or confident that they have what they have, or who they really are. And I do even dog and animal hospice. I'll tell you that I've done a great deal of that. That's interesting as well. Thank you.
Jay had something.
Okay.
Oh, I just want to say I feel so honored and given to today. Thank you. I also heard the invitation for us to be able to reach you, and I just wasn't sure how we might do that. I don't want you to have to say that to, you know, just I would like to be able to say hello at some point.
Cindy, if it's okay, I can share your number or your email or something if someone would like to reach out to you. Would that be okay? Or you want to
Push-
let me
push it
know?
so I can say
Sure.
push. Oh, okay, I'm on. Yeah, by all means, share it. Now, again, I'm traditional. Now, Marsha's come to my house when it's all cleaned up. So she's a lucky girl. But in my traditional ways, if I've got to clean up for you, you know what I mean, on a regular basis, then you don't really want to know the real me. But give them the information. If it's a drive-by you want to do and just see if you could tolerate it, then do that. But girls and gentlemen and ladies, always feel welcomed. If I can't, you know, I'm doing something and I've got it, I stay with it. Then otherwise, as a traditional native, we stop what we're doing to talk. We talk to learn. We learn to weave. And that's how the purpose is. Thank you.
Marcia, I just want to point out Reverend Chris has his hand up and has posted something in chat. I think it's the link for Cindy. I don't know. Maybe he can tell.
Hi, Cindy. It's great to see you, and I'm so glad we could finally bring you in to lead a service after a long absence. A group of us did a lot of work together studying about the indigenous people's history of the United States, and we invited you in to be part of that conversation. And I feel like this is bringing somewhat some kind of full circle to that conversation. So I have done some research. You pointed me to the Stockbridge Muncie community out in Bowler, Wisconsin, as I think it's my understanding that that's now the tribal home of the peoples who once occupied the land at Rock Tavern. Is that correct? You're muted, Cindy.
Okay, they were removed many years back, and that's where they relocated at. But yes, yeah,
Yeah, I was impressed.
there's many that stayed. There's many that stayed.
There's many that stayed, but there is a tribal community out in Bowler, Wisconsin. So I'm wondering, you know, in terms of our own community's commitment to right relations and our commitment to justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, what restoration might look like for this congregation in relationship to those Stockbridge Muncie people who are still living. And I'd like to offer, if you think it's a good idea, I have a minister's discretionary fund, and I know that many of the indigenous communities have been especially hard hit by this pandemic. This money has been given by this community for pandemic relief. I would like to give a donation in your honor to the Stockbridge Muncie community in Bowler, Wisconsin, in the amount of $2,000. Is that an appropriate gift? Would that be an appropriate use of those funds?
My heart is overwhelmed with your generosity. From the position that I'm in, let me say this word. I love that. I love that thought. I absolutely do. But I never tell anyone what to do with any money. Money is a separate issue for me in what you choose to do with it. I think it's a delightful idea. I certainly appreciate my name being included in it because I am a part of that group. I being one of the ones that remained, but everyone had their own path. And once again, all it does is it reminds me of the basket weaving to make this work for everybody. So that's the way you interpreted it. I'm delighted. You know, I'm delighted. Somebody else can say, oh, you should have gave it to the dog pound. They needed some help. You know, you were talked to by maybe whatever words I said and the other information you had to choose that route. I thank you, sir. Usher. Thank you.
Anybody else, any